Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. I am your host, the most froze and CEO of Glacier Mountain Comics. It is I, Glacier. Yeah. Good afternoon. Out there on the tubes of you. Tuesday afternoon. Yes, indeed. We're going to play some Fortnite Zero Build for the Star Wars Battle Pass. The month of May, Star Wars on Fortnite. Wow! Yeah! And probably listen to some Video Archives podcast with Tarantino and his buddy Roger, and they got special guest on this episode, Eli Roth. Yeah. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for the show? Be sure to stay alert on the lookout for SLED HEADZ. 60 pages with art by Kristian Rossi. All the art is completed. Now I just got to get lettering, logo, and a cover. Stay alert. It's being published. Announcements coming very soon. Yeah.
$100 for every question answered correctly in this 28 degree ice.
And so with that being said, folks, SLED HEADZ is a blaxploitation, gun fu, supernatural, super Sentai rom-com with art by Kristian Rossi. With just $2K, you can help me bring this masterpiece across the finish line. Yeah. Glacier Mountain Comics will have a legendary impact on the indies. He is the future of indie comics after all. He will have legendary franchises, legendary runs. His IPs and ideas are unique and like no other. He is a goddamn superstar, forged in the fires of the chat and war. Are you guys ready to start the show? Let's fucking go! Yeah. Alright. Let's fire up this podcast. Get around the two-in. Here we go. Live, L-I-V-E with Glacier. CEO of Glacier Mountain Comics. Your host and the most froze. Let's fucking go! Whoa!
On this episode of the Video Archives podcast, what can you do with one arm? You can shake a man's hand. You can blow your lover a kiss. You can juggle. You can wave goodbye. You can wipe a tear. Maybe, just maybe, you can execute. Quentin and Roger earn the right to take revenge in the one-armed executioner. An Interpol agent is out for revenge as the gangster steals his arm and kills his bride. Roger and Quentin discuss the realistic on-screen connection between Franco Guerrero and Jodie Kay, how tropes can be done correctly, and the artful sound design of this film. And, as an added bonus, the duo talk about the trailer's package with this Paragon tape. Next up, we talk sound spoilers about Welcome to Blood City. 5 strangers wake up with no memory in a world that resembles the Wild West.
Hey, little lady.
20 other people, they'll become immortal. It's hunt or be hunted in Blood City.
You want party, bros?
And Roger talk about how the great Jack Palance carries the film, how Pierre Dulé breaks his typecasting, and how this premise could easily be remade today. And, lastly, 5 friends get together and decide to rob a bank. The catch? All 5 men are blind.
Where's my new jam loops? Oh, there we go. Touch the sun, baby.
5 blind master killers pull off the most unbelievable heights of all time. But even $15 million won't get them back their sight. Quentin and Roger discuss interesting characters, a unique heist planning sequence, and never-before-seen gadgets. Revenge made them hate the man, but money was their excuse to blast him. It's all going down at the International House of Pancakes, today at Video Archives. I'm Gala Avery, and joining us now, here's Quentin and Roger.
Thank you very much, Gala. I appreciate it. Okay, kill the bacala. And hi, I'm Quentin Tarantino, and I am Roger Avery. And we're back again with the Video Archive podcast. We've got 3 interesting movies to talk about today that we're both really excited to talk about. So the first film is One-Armed Executioner.
The ultimate in action that is nothing can stop the One-Armed Executioner. And now, the One-Armed Executioner. Produced and directed by Bobby A. Suarez. One-Armed Executioner, with co-headline Rage, will be playing September 17th and 18th on glorious 35mm film at the new Beverly Cinema, 7165 Beverly Boulevard, Los Angeles, California.
There's that classic radio announcer voice. That's the first Carnival Barker.
New Beverly Cinema, always on film.
And let me explain how this actually kind of came about. Because if you've been listening to the show for a little bit, you kind of realize that we've got a certain kind of pattern as far as picking movies. Usually it's, not always, but usually it's the most famous, most prestige one is our first film.
That might be like a studio film of some kind, like
Yeah.
a big production or something.
Absolutely. And then and then something fairly comparative works as a companion piece, as the second feature.
A little scene, interesting film.
That's kind of how we go about it. More or less, the more prestige 2 movies are the first one and the second one. And then the
Oh, hear him.
third one
Fuck.
is some obscure exploitation oddity or the fallen off the track foreign film that we pull from the bowels of the collection.
Yeah.
Gotta
I
get
have a
out
whole
of
list
here.
of different cool exploitation films that I've heard about but I've never seen, because one of the things about the show is I want to pick at least one movie that I haven't seen. That's a big part of the reason to do the show. If I can get 2 I haven't seen, all the better, but at least one. And so there's a whole group of exploitation films with cool boxes that always kind of sound neat, and I've never got around to seeing them, but actually watching them with a friend and then having an excuse.
Yeah,
to showing them
exploitation
a movie that they
films. You
sit
hear that,
down
baby?
to watch them, and it's really kind of cool. And if me and Roger start watching one and it doesn't float our boat or we don't like it, okay, fuck this. So we just take it out. We just throw it out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
One-Armed Executioner has been sitting
One-Armed
in
Executioner.
the pile for a while. I almost showed it 3 different times, and I kept yanking it off. And the reason I even know about the damn thing, I know who Bobby Suarez is, because he's a Filipino filmmaker who also did the famous film Cleopatra Wong. At the time, the only movie ever made in Singapore. The only Singapore, they don't have a film industry in Singapore. It's one of the only movies they ever made was Cleopatra Wong. I'm a big fan of it. Anyway, is part of Paragon Home Video's opening credits. For years, they always had the One-Armed Executioner trailer on the front of their tapes. And
Amongst a couple of other
catalog titles. And it's a real Paragon Home Video trailer. What it means is it's not the real trailer. It's just cut together scenes from the from the movie.
Done by an intern, probably.
Yeah, probably done by exactly. And so the thing is, I remember seeing that in the 80s. One of these days I'll get around to watching that. So the other day, thinking about this would be good for our third spot, we put it on and we watched it. And me and Roger were so taken with this little revenge-o-matic, this little Filipino exploitation movie. We felt, oh my God, we're watching a genre classic.
Yeah.
We are absolutely watching a genre revenge-o-matic classic. And we decided that it was so special, and we enjoyed it. The experience of watching it, we had such a good time. This is probably true, to be sure. But we had such a good time that we decided that it actually deserved to have the first spot.
Yeah. It deserves it. Like, in watching it, I was like, this is like any other like big action movie. This holds its own as far as I'm concerned.
Especially if you're a student of revenge-o-matics, this movie absolutely falls into the best of the best of the classics of that genre status. It can sit in a pile with Coffee. It can sit in a pile with Navajo Joe. It can sit in a pile with They Call Her One Eye. It can sit in a pile with Rolling Thunder. Death Rides a Horse. The spaghetti western version. Some other kung fu things of it. Now, having said all those movies I just mentioned, One-Armed Executioner is definitely the least of them. It's definitely on the bottom of that pile of movies I just listed. But at the same time, it's a really, really strong entry. And to give it even a bit of a more of a hat tip, when it comes to pace, its pace is so strong and so moves so fast that really only Coffee and Navajo Joe can compete with it when it comes to pace.
Yeah, it is constantly, it's a freight train. And it's constantly doing audience-pleasing, I don't want to call them tropes, but like standards.
No, well, they are. No, it absolutely, that tropes is the exact word. All right, because we've seen the story a zillion times.
I just don't want to call them tropes because that makes it sound bad. But this movie in particular,
and how lovingly the tropes are done.
Exactly.
All right,
exactly.
That makes it so enjoyable.
How seriously they're taken.
And the pace of the film, really, from the moment that the movie starts, it's like greyhounds running across the track the way it gets to its conclusion. But what Roger just said is actually kind of important, because one of the things about the movie, it knows what it is. It's a revenge-o-matic, and it does go through the paces. It goes through the tropes that you've seen many, 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 many times before.
Yeah, tropes.
So
learn them and learn how to flip them. Learn how to learn how to inject yourself into the tropes or the message you're trying to convey.
Now, I will preface this episode on One-Armed Executioner with the caveat that we will be using spoilers. I don't even like to use that word, all right? But we will be talking about the film and all of its plot machinations. It's funny, because if you'd asked me when the show started, would I be worrying about spoilers? I'm like, we're talking about movies that are 40 years old, 50 years old. If they haven't seen them by now, fuck them. But the reality is when we watch them, we do see certain things where, oh no, this could be a surprise. If you didn't know that this was going to happen, this would actually change your view of the film.
And frequently, like the movies you're showing, you may have seen them, but I haven't seen them sometimes. And so they're a surprise to me.
And so it's like,
it'd be really special if it's a surprise to me.
Yeah, so we play it by ear, but we kind of err towards the idea that, at the end of the day, even though we're not even recommending movies, we're just talking about them. But if your viewing of it would be better if you, without knowing this piece of plot information, well then, we err towards that way. On the other hand, I also feel that when it comes to certain subgenres, the mechanics of them are so dyed in the wool that it's ridiculous not to talk about the different tropes.
The familiar beats that you always hit.
The familiar beats and how they did in them, all right? If we're talking about a Jaws ripoff, well, guess what? There's going to be some town, there's going to be some naturalistic monster that's in that town.
There's going to be children in the water.
Yeah, there will probably be some sort of authority figure there who's responsible for it, and somebody who's an authority on the given monster, and then at the end they're going to fucking kill it after it's eaten a whole bunch of people along the way. Now, how they ended up killing it in it, am I really spoiling it for you? Right, to say that they killed the monster, but how they did it compared to how all the other Jaws ripoffs did it could be of interest. And to me, that's kind of how I come from the revenge-o-matic genre. Okay, so I'm going to read the back of the box, which again, this is a Paragon home video box, so don't expect much when it comes to the back of it. I'm going to probably have to...
Although I have to say that from the front of the box, I was ready to see the movie.
Oh,
the poster is awesome.
But actually, almost all the shit that happens on the box happens in the movie.
Yeah.
And the One-Armed Execution looks amazing in it. Okay, so, One-Armed Execution. Big subtitle, Revenge is Sweet. ... His wife brutally murdered before his eyes. His arm chopped off as a warning. His job, his pride, his confidence, gone. A young Interpol agent's rage for life has but one meaning. Revenge, revenge, and revenge! Running time approximately 90 minutes. Again, I like the Paragon, approximately 90 minutes. It's not like we have the technology to tell you exactly how long it is.
Hey, Jimmy, how long is one-armed executioner?
That's approximately an hour and a half.
Okay, put that down. Just put it down. I gotta get those tapes out.
Franco Guerrero, who's the star of the film, is an action star in Philippines. Franco Guerrero plays Interpol agent named Ortega. And part of the thing about Ortega is he's trying to shut down this drug dealer named Edwards, played by a guy named very interesting guy. One of those weird cheap movie performances where first you think the guy's not very good, but then the more you watch, the more he gets a little awkward. But then the more you get used to him, the more you kind of like him until finally, no, he actually I think the guy's performance.
Nigel Hogg.
Yeah, Nigel Hogg.
And actually, the credits are super sketchy on this film. And so it took me a while to figure out who was that guy, because he had my favorite line in the movie, and this was, quote, everybody wants to be the king of Shit Hill, but it ain't that easy.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody wants to be the king of Shit Hill, but it ain't that easy. That was the moment I was like, okay, that's my character. That's the guy I love.
Well, Nigel Hogg, okay, Edward, he's a pretty terrific bad guy. First you kind of think he's fat, and then you see him walking around in these Speedos, and you're like, oh no, he's not fat at all.
He's got like a kind of like what would be like somebody else's head.
He's got a fat head.
Yeah, a fat head.
He's got a fat head, and he's got a
And then
fat
he pulls
neck.
back and he's kind of ripped. I'm like, he's almost got better abs than I do.
He's almost ripped. He's one of those almost ripped white guys.
Like a bear.
And he has kind of an Elvis almost kind of quality, like a CD.
You compared him perfectly to Joe Namath.
It was a Joe Namath. Well, he does look a little bit like Joe Namath, like Joe Namath's like sleazy older brother. We call him Ernie Namath. But who he really looks like, to tell you the truth, is he really looks like the missing Mitchum kid. Because he actually looks a bit like...
Yeah, Robert with that chin and the kind of nose.
Exactly. So
the lips that are kind of overly curled.
Yeah, so there's Christopher Mitchum, and then there's Jim Mitchum.
Yeah.
And he really looks like the middle brother between the two
Mitchum
Mitchums.
has a nasty Mitchum mouth.
Yeah, Nigel Mitchum.
Yeah, Nigel.
Nigel Mitchum. That's a weird name. That's a cool name. I'm going to write that down. That's a good name, Nigel Mitchum. Okay, if you see a movie with Nigel Mitchum,
This is where it happens. This very moment.
The origin. The Big Bang right here. Boom. Boom. And an embryo.
The Nigel Mitchum character was born.
The Nigel Mitchum.
Perhaps the most famous character in cinema history.
Boom.
Sounded like he was like a sheep. It's like you were fucking a sheep.
One of the sheep from Rage, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Bleeding out of my nose.
Slobbering all over, just drooling.
But, so Ortega is dealing with his boss, who's actually played by Leopoldo Scolido, who is actually one of the, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he's one of the, in the late 60s, was along with Fernando Poe, was one of the big stars of Filipino cinema. He is, probably his most famous movie is, at least for Western audiences, is a war movie, The Raiders of Letty Gulf, which is directed by Eddie Rivera. And he's the boss in this, and it's cool because it's like, you know,
Very realistic. He's a very realistic guy, but with his like weird kind of clothing and giant collars, like they're about to go to a nightclub in Turkey or something.
I know it's really interesting. One passes as professional wardrobe for the Interpol of the Philippines.
I think it's real in the Philippines.
No, I'm not making fun
In
of that.
1981.
I'm not saying it's ridiculous as far as like, yeah, they all look like they're going out to barbecues or getting ready to hit yachts or you're going to a nightclub or a vendor or a drug vendor or something.
Dressed very well. It's like full on like Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, exactly. With like flowered shirts and like great, cool leisure suits with big wide open collars.
Yeah, what happened to that?
Nobody wears dark colors. Everything is like white or light or teal, you know? So, it was just a big drug dealer, and so Ortega's like, hey, let's quit putting around with these guys. Let's go there, let's shake them up, let's tell them that we're onto them. So they go and they do a big, they can't really bust the guy really, but they just shake him up. And it does shake Edwards up. And Edwards says, okay, well, here's what we got to do. We got to hide this, and we got to hide that. But the number one thing we got to do is we got to make an example of that guy Ortega to teach overzealous Interpol agents a lesson of what can happen when you get too nosy.
And there's a really nice kind of setup before this where his boss kind of runs a restaurant.
That guy's not his boss. What is it? You're right, though.
He's like another guy who was like
I'll tell you exactly
his wife was...
He's his mentor.
Yeah, he's his mentor. And that guy's wife, because he was an Interpol, with all the trappings of being a cop, and his wife pulled him away from being...
She's talking about the mentor character.
The mentor character. And it's almost like he's who Ramon Ortega could be if he were to get married to Anne, his... or maybe he's already married to Anne.
Yeah, he's already married. But the situation is like this mentor character was a legend in his own time, kind of Interpol agent. His wife said, look, that's it. If you want to stay with me, I don't want to be worried all the time. You got to quit. So he quits.
It's the kind of job you do it until you die.
Yeah. And he quits, but he opens up a big bar, like nightclub bar.
And all the Interpol agents hang out.
And then all the Interpol agents hang out. No, it's just like the old movie where the cop quits being a cop and he opens a cop bar and all the cops hang out. So Ortega's married this white blonde girl named Anne, played by Jodie Kay, really charming in the film.
She's great.
And so they've just come back from America, where Ortega met her parents.
In San Francisco.
In San Francisco. And now they've just come back to Manila, and she's like, oh no, look, I had a great time, Ramon meeting my parents, and I had a great time seeing them again, but I'm just so happy to be back in Manila. And then the mentor character says something like, yes, you know, my wife wanted me to retire and the force, and I did. And now she's passed on, and I think what would have happened if I had stayed. But then I look around at this wonderful club and I go, hey, this life isn't so bad. What am I worrying about?
It's a great moment.
It's a really good moment.
It's a really wonderful performance, that guy.
Yeah, that guy's getting, he gets a terrific performance all the way through the whole film. I don't have his name. So then Ortega goes to the bathroom during this time. And so he starts talking to Anne, and he's like, so really, are you going to be okay with Ramon continuing to be an Interpol agent? And Anne's like, well, what am I going to do? Like, that's who he is.
Yeah.
You know, I can't stop it. I can't stop him from doing that, and I don't want to stop him from doing that, and I don't want to stop him from being who he is. To take that away from him would be to take away his life. And
she stands by her man and who he is.
And Jodie Kay, the woman who's playing it, she's not much of an actress, but you like her. She's a cool character, and she's a cool person playing the character.
In fact, there was a point in the movie, and I think it was a memory that happens later on, where they're together on the beach, remembering back, and I was watching it, and I think I turned to you and I said, they are a real couple, because the love that I'm feeling on screen feels real. It feels like they just took a camera out to Big Sur or something and shot a whole bunch of scenes, or probably...
Well, you actually asked me during the thing, you go, are they actually married in real life? And I don't know the answer to that.
But it felt real. It felt real.
At the very least, it sounds like they might have had an affair when they were making the movie.
And that is the only thing necessary. Like, you could have had a million other, maybe better actresses in that role. But what that actress did, what Jodie Kay did, was it actually made me feel the love between them. And so that when the ultimate tragedy comes, it hurt.
Well,
and it hurt bad.
Well, here's the thing about that, though. Yes, but you said that from the first scene. Oh, yeah. You just liked her.
Something wrong. One, it was that she stands by him. Yeah. And she's just absolutely head over heels, in love with him, does not want to change him, wants him to be him.
And like you said, the two actors are sexy together. It's both romantic and sexy.
And I think the reason I felt that from the beginning was partly the way that she was looking at him in those early restaurant scenes. Like, she was just looking at him, like, adoringly. And I found him to be completely attractive in a kind of William Peterson way.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah,
I was looking at him, I was like, I just reminded me
No, you bitch.
The way that he had the sort of, I don't know what you call that jacket, that's kind of cut off.
Well, I love
all that William Peterson clothing from like To Live and Die in L.A.
Yeah, well, I love his color choices of red and black.
Yeah,
right from the very beginning, he's always like juggling these cool outfits that are like red and black, and like a red sweater with a black leather jacket on top of it.
Well, he's wearing all those kind of like tight red and black clothes in the beginning, and then he loses his arm, and he's got to walk around for the rest of the movie and convince you that he's lost his arm. And by the way, he's doing, all sorts of kung fu, and he's jumping from tall buildings, or he's jumping from a rooftop onto the ground with his arm tied behind his back, underneath his clothes, and he's pulling it off.
Oh, he completely
It's convincing. I mean, it is absolutely convincing.
No, you're right. Actually, he wears a bunch of different kind of long, almost like safari outfits.
Yeah.
For a while, but there actually is a point that when he actually goes back to his red and black on song, it's like he's found himself again.
Yeah.
Now he's Inspector Ortega again.
The color of blood.
Yeah. So anyway, Edwards sends a bunch of guys over, including this one guy, Jason, played by this fat pig named Peter Cooper.
Oh my God, that guy delivers.
Bear of a man.
Yeah.
All right, the John Milius character.
Yeah.
And then
John, who is a lovely, kind gentleman.
Yes, exactly.
Compared to this dude.
Let me just rephrase that, okay? Not so much that he is the John Milius type, but I can imagine John Milius writing this character.
Oh, completely.
Yeah, the Jason character is definitely a John Milius-esque character.
Miliusian?
I would say Milius-esque. There you go, Milius-esque. So these bastards show up at the house, and they tie everybody up, gag everybody, cut the wife up for a little bit, torture her, shove a samurai sword into her heart in front of him, and has he screaming, "No!"
God, and may I just say, that scene was so well and competently handled, because just going back and forth, first from these kind of brutal wide shots and getting closer and closer into those extreme close-ups to the point where he runs her through with the sword, and that crazy close-up of Franco Guerrero as he screams and goes into the camera, and I felt my skin curdle in that moment. And then it was so intense.
And then, look, I've seen that scene a zillion times before.
So have I.
And you have too.
That's why I was unprepared for it to be effective.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think where it actually takes a turn, where it's not just the same old scene that we've seen before, just setting up the plot, that takes it even more into like a Straw Dogs, Peckinpah-esque level, is after they kill Anne, is that guy Jason's laughter.
Yeah.
That kind of goes on for almost a minute as it goes on, as it has this like well-done montage about his life crumbling, as this laughter is like amplified, seemingly in a minute. That's where it gets Peckinpah-esque.
Yeah.
And the piece de resistance is to cut off Inspector Ortega's arm. To cut off his left arm, and so he could kill him, but no. This, like they say in Brian De Palma, we could kill him.
Fuck! Damn it! I came so close to a victory royale.
We could kill Detective Ortega. He hasn't learned anything.
It's even worse than that. They call it
God damn it.
Doctor to cauterize the wound and dump him at a hospital.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they
Fucking
patch
Juice
him
WRLD.
up enough that he's not going to bleed to death, and they throw him at the front door of a hospital.
So every day for the rest of his life, he'll know he should not have fucked with Edwards.
Exactly. And he has that moment where he wakes up and he's not
Damn
sure
it.
if it's all real.
Oh, that's a really good scene.
He reaches over and he feels that his arm isn't there, and that's when he realizes that Anne isn't there either, because it's all real. And then he has the same scream, and it's so painful.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Yeah, oh my God! And it's literally done like tough guys don't dance style.
Like other people make fun of that. We don't make fun of Ryan O'Neal and tough guys don't dance.
That's a real emotion people have.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't have a. Oh my God! Look, we're literally describing a movie you probably feel like some of the arm cut off parts that you probably feel you've seen done a zillion times before. And you have. But this production just like it's hard, and Keones are right in the right place. And Bobby Suarez is a really effective filmmaker. There's fantastic shots in this film. It has a great rhythm and a great energy. There's good lighting. It falls into the same kind of category that we've talked about on some of these movies that works pretty good. Where, well, this actually for a Filipino movie actually has a pretty decent budget. I think Franco Guerrero is actually a big enough star there that this was like a...
It does everything that a big Hollywood movie would do. They've got the helicopter scenes, they've got the boat scene, they've got the helicopter chasing the boat scene, and like as good as any Bond movie, by the way.
No, the helicopter chase scene looks like the Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry helicopter car chase, except with it's done with a speedboat.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So what ends up happening with the character is his life is over, as far as he's concerned. He blames himself completely. He's the one that got his wife killed.
I'm going to Penis Island, baby.
He's weak and he's helpless because they've cut his arm off. He'd kill himself before he become a clerical clerk, all right, in Interpol. So he just decides he's going to drink himself to death and become a bomb. I actually think they did a good job in this, and you can maybe say it goes on too long, but that is part of their commitment to his downfall. One of the things I like about it is when he first goes to the bar and he meets the prostitute, who I actually thought would have a bigger part in the movie, because she's actually a pretty cool character.
Yeah, and then she actually recognizes his goodness.
No, I thought she was going to be like Linda Haynes in Rolling Thunder for a second. I thought she was going to...
They played against that.
Yeah.
They pushed against that.
She was cool. But the thing is, you're wondering, is he like Charlie Rain in Rolling Thunder, where it's like, oh, no, he's going to go to the bad guy's bar, and he's going to pretend to get drunk with the prostitute, just to kind of get the lay of the land. And it's just kind of, no, he's a loser. no, this is not him going undercover. This is him being a fucking loser. Yeah. And he's just getting drunk and throwing his life away. And he's just like living in the gutter. Yeah. And eventually, his old mentor really kidnaps him from the gutter and takes him way fucking far ways away.
To his secret camp, his ranch,
his secret lair. All right, somewhere in the forest.
This is what I've been really doing. This is what the restaurant pays for.
And he's like, okay, so enough of your self-petting bullshit. You can't get revenge.
I'm hearing shots.
However, we're going to teach you how to fight. We're going to teach you how to do everything you can do, and you're going to get your life back. And enough of this feeling sorry for yourself. And so he, like a proper kung fu movie, starts putting him through the paces, but not just a proper kung fu movie, but a proper one-arm kung fu movie, which that is its own genre. It's basically based on the Jimmy Wang Yu films.
In fact, that guy who's teaching him, there's this one kind of teacher character who's really he's a non-speaking part. He's just some guy who's there. The way he illustrates how to do the moves, the one-arm moves, and how he keeps his eye on Ramon Ortega. Yeah. He keeps his eyes on him, but he shows him as he's doing it. And he's showing the audience in those scenes. And I've rarely been instructed so well in how these moves would be done.
Yeah, it's real. I have to say, talk about scenes I've seen many times before.
I know you've shot yourself.
Yeah. Guy going through a training, all right, is one of the scenes I've seen the most of any scene in my life.
Oh, that one ended fucking fast.
Hiding one arm behind his
back.
He'll go and he'll fight a guy, and he'll block him, and he'll land the blows.
Shows him how he can win. Yeah, with one arm. I don't need one arm. I only need one arm.
Yeah. And so he does it at full speed, and then after he's done, then he shows the impact points. You see, this is how I did it. Here, and here. So how did I do it? I did it this way, and this way.
And then you can track later on in the movie how he's fighting with that one-arm technique.
Now, one of the things that was actually kind of interesting in following Hong Kong films going into the later 80s, they started moving away from martial art, primarily films, into the more John Woo, Chow Yun-fat
gun fu,
gun movies.
Yeah.
So now, for 2 seconds, they were starting to call that genre gun fu.
Woo!
But then the guys, Toby Russell, Ken Russell's son, and Rick Baker, not the makeup effects guy, but the Hong Kong martial art experts out of Britain, started a magazine called Eastern Heroes, and they dubbed that genre heroic bloodshed. And so it started becoming known as heroic bloodshed. However, the way they teach it in One Armed Executioner, I think you can officially call it gun fu.
Yeah, gun fu, baby.
Acrobatics and stuff that you are known to see in martial art movies, but just added with a gun. And so he's doing leaps and somersaults and this and that, and he can fire at the slightest sound and hit his target. And I gotta say, not expecting this, that training sequence was as much fun as any training sequence I'd ever seen.
Fuck yeah, it
it
was.
such a blast, and it's so well shot, and the more fantastical his training gets, and the more he pulls it off, the more exciting, because you can't wait to see him take on everything.
Yeah, and you feel a kind of crescendo towards the conflict with the villain, throughout that scene, as opposed to just being a whole bunch of moments strung together.
But when he actually just does a backward flip, all right, and then like in the middle of the flip, he hits 2 targets with his gun. Oh, I was jumping out of the chair, all right. That was so exciting. I know you're ready. Yeah, I know you're ready. But one of the things that's really nice about the movie is it knows what it is, but it actually takes Franco Guerrero seriously, and it takes Detective Ortega seriously, or Inspector Ortega seriously, because there's that moment when Ortega is finally starting to commit to the training, and he's finally starting to, shake off his self-pity and shake off his guilt a little bit. And then this mentor shows up. So you decided to join the living again, I see.
Yeah.
But we felt that, and we're happy for him that he's he's crawled out of the gutter.
And then mayhem ensues.
Yes. Okay, and so basically, all these different story points, or the story points you expect to find in a revenge manic, and it hits them all perfectly. And not only does it hit them all perfectly, it adds its own little special shine. Now, one of the last things before I get to the third act is the movie has 2 jumping off points. It's definitely jumping off from the Jimmy Wang Yu film. His first films with Shang-Chi, which is the one-armed swordsman, and then directed movies, the one-armed boxer, the flying guillotine. But it also obviously has seen
Well, it has to have.
Yeah, exactly. And frankly, I think part of the seriousness of the movie comes from the Rolling Thunder.
Which is almost overly serious by comparison. This movie almost finds a kind of, frankly, Hollywood balance.
Yeah. But there is this Rolling Thunder quality, especially to the massacre scene.
Yeah.
For sure, the massacre scene. But also to him in the hospital bed, and to learning how to reload his gun with one arm.
Which was a good little trick they figured out.
It's really cool.
And I especially like how he kind of cocks it with one hand.
Oh, no, that's awesome. That's terrific. Now, here's the thing about the third act.
It turns into a Werner Herzog movie.
Yes, it does, a little bit. Okay. While I was watching the movie, I was thinking this is where the film is having a misstep. Because it's kind of hit all of its bases just perfectly, and then now it should be bringing the whole baby home. When it comes to assaulting the main bad guy's lair, his island or his lair or whatever it is. All right, the assault of the fortress. Okay, now you bring it home, you wipe out all those guys, and you kill the guy. And now this is the part where the movie starts getting a little windy, and starts whatever. But then, now having seen the film all the way through, yes, it does get a little windy, but it seems to be kind of going on its own, and it knows what it's doing. So, because it starts following the big guy who killed his wife, Jason, and then Edwards as they try to escape through this jungle.
Yeah.
And, okay, you just said it. It's as if they hired Werner Herzog to shoot second and Werner Herzog watched the entire movie up until that part and said, okay, as far as I'm concerned, forget Edwards. I'm making Jason the main guy. It's Jason's story. From here on in, let Bobby Suarez can deal with the one-armed executioner all he wants. This is Jason's movie, The Fat Henchman. I'm making the movie about the journey of degradation of the fat henchman who's like a pig, and I will put him through the mud like the pig he is, and we will enjoy his degradation. But the degradation that we enjoy is the degradation of us all.
A little, probably more like Michael Curtiz, but yeah, Werner Herzog.
I think sentiment-wise, it was like Herzog.
Sentiment-wise, it definitely was, because he would definitely be like, he must become stuck in the mud, for nature holds on to him and strangulates him and holds him down, and then the movie must become held down as well. There's one other moment, which is when Edwards gets his final, like, you know, they blow up the boat, but I see, and I think you saw.
No, I saw it. No, it's a
Edwards dives out of the boat.
It's a misstep, all right, because look, I was thinking they should have just wrapped things up, but part of the reason they're not wrapping it up is because they have a big action sequence yet to go, which is Edwards trying to escape on the speedboat with the one-armed executioner following him in a helicopter throwing grenades, at him. And finally, it has a situation where he drops a grenade, lands in the boat. Edward goes, "Oh my God!" Jumps out, and then the boat blows up. So we watch it. I mean, he jumps up because it's actually happening. The actor actually has to jump out of the boat before it blows up. All right, that's why he does. Because it makes sense.
You don't want to blow up the actor.
But the way we're looking at it, no, Edwards is just floating around in the water. All right, he didn't blow up. It would have been easy enough because the boat just floated, and we would assume but we watched him get clear of the boat, and then he even says, "Okay, let's turn around and get Edwards." In the helicopter. But then it ends up he has his final thing with the fat guy Jason. And now I'm expecting him to go get Edwards, but then the music starts playing and you know that
we're done.
Yeah, you know that the movie is working as if Edwards is dead.
Well, here I thought about this and I was thinking.
I mean, the one-armed executioner even says, "My work here is done."
Yeah. I think that to director Bobby Suarez, philosophically, Edwards isn't really revenge. Like, he's just a businessman. He's just a guy. He's the facilitator. He's just some white dude on the island.
He's just a Mitchell brother.
The guy who ran the sword through his wife.
Yes.
The pig who killed his wife. And even up to his death is gloating over it. In death.
How do you feel? Not as good as a felt rabbit that blade through your wife.
Bobby Suarez, that's the villain.
Yeah.
True revenge, is sitting there, and to him, that's enough. There will always be a Nigel Edwards in the world, in the Philippines. That's the problem. Maybe that's the commentary.
Fuck.
You're gonna write that one down too.
Yeah.
I got shot from behind somehow.
Look, I wish I didn't have a question mark.
Oh, maybe
thinking
it was
he was going to go back and get Edwards later, but his kind of slow walk, taking a bullet with each, his slow approach to Jason as he just shoots him one by one, it's constantly moving forward on him. That works great. That's terrific.
There's a commentary going on about American imperialist influences in the Philippines at that time. It's almost on display in the background of every shot of the police, which are these pictures, paintings of Imelda Marcos.
Yeah, in all federal buildings. Yeah.
And so,
I mean, one painting of her looking at us as if she's almost a fourth character in the movie.
Constantly throughout it. I mean, he's definitely making a point about the corrupt influences that are going on in the Philippines at that time. And it's almost like Edward gets away or doesn't get away. It doesn't matter because there's always another Edwards to step into his place. That might be the Philippine attitude. Whereas the guy who ran his sword through your wife, and laughed, that guy's going to die. Yeah, for sure. That guy's going to die.
And laughed in a sound designy kind of way. Anyway, look, one-armed executioner is a powder keg. It just delivered like dominoes. I'm a big Bobby Suarez fan. I'm looking forward to seeing even more films with him and Franco Guerrero. And one I think I have in my collection is one with Christopher Mitchum, John Philip Law, and Franco Guerrero called American Commandos. And by the way, Edwards is in that one as well.
Well, I dug up an old review. Seems like a recent review by my favorite critic, Franklin Brown. I have to read it in the voice of Bill Margold. Bill Margold. Because you've been reading me all of these Bill Margold and Jim Sheldon reviews, and you've been sending them to me, this project you're working on, and they're kind of climbing inside their head. I keep hearing his voice. So when I was reading this review, I couldn't help but do it in the voice of someone else. Bill Margold. What made me unexpectedly learn into believing that this 1981 Revenger is a grade C exploitation quickie? But it's true. Every bit is good. are here on full display with Franco Guerrero taking the place of
Fucking bullshit. I wanted the X1 jet. Women. Women, I tell you, they ruin
The
everything.
resulting production is as badass, if not badasser, if there is such a word.
Especially women A-loggers.
This critic, the Judy Kay, as the Lovestruck Anne, could be cast in either. She is that wonderful. And I can't remember that she could. She could have been in a Hollywood movie version of this. She could have been in this. And she's as great in both.
No, I'm remembering actually as we watched the movie, you kept pointing out different Michael Mann-isms.
I wonder what does Fortnite let their plans out ahead of time? What do they got in store next for their battle pass after they're done with Star Wars? What's going on in June? I'm trying to think what's going on in July.
Solidly made the way, constructed the way Michael Mann constructed things. How would you say Michael Mann probably has
Oh yeah, bud. Watch this emote.
Man, Bobby Suarez delivers.
Yeah, well, not only that, I would actually say that, I think the weakest part of the theme is
Oh yeah.
the taking the villains.
Can you do this?
Yeah, exactly. But actually, the taking the villains.
With the Force.
Execution is fantastic.
Yeah.
Exactly, which is one of the reasons, like when you look
Oh,
at
yeah?
it and you look at this, it's like
Do this.
there are similarities to be drawn from this film. And
I still see your shadows in my room.
eye of the director, as you see.
Oh, it's right there.
I was saying Michael Mann, and every now and then I would say Tony Scott, and it was like
And there's just
it was feeling slick like
and
that.
there's a cutting style. You cut it quickly.
I'm going to Penis Mountain, babe.
Hollywood deliver for
Yeah.
the audience style. Like you're getting an absolute revenge thriller, but it's nothing that isn't like out of the reach of a general audience.
That's very, very well said. And the part of the reason we're so enthusiastic about the film is just one of those things where
God, everybody's going to Penis
all
Mountain.
the great classics of this type of genre. And I knew about this movie. I've known about this movie since the 80s, since seeing the trailer and everything. And like I said, I know who Bobby Suarez is. But to actually finally get around, part of the reason we're even doing the show is to get around to watch something like this.
No, God damn it, get away from my penis droid.
Great Z exploitation classic, and it exists right on the shelf with.
Cramping my style.
Something like Miss 45, which is probably the closest in its year range.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're shooting at me already. I was trying to get me some weapons. I need this gun.
Oh wow, we found or like a Mad Max
Like
or
this
something
isn't
like
a
that.
number
Nice.
3 movie. This is a number 1 movie.
Yeah.
Drink the shield, drink the shield.
No, we were so enthused.
Drink
to,
it, bitch.
Find a little diamond sitting in a
Where
trash
are
can.
they?
Have you ever wondered what the lead singer of Smash Mouth, Zach Goody, feels about new versus old guys in music and cinema? Or how photographers...
Fuck, where are they? Can't even see them. Are they in the sky?
What about the opinion of rock
Ah!
editor Jacqueline
You
Cole?
cocksucker.
She considers to be the new Hollywood shift of the streaming era. Join me, reporter on the new Gala as I get to the bottom of these very questions. Starting on October 26th, I have a new guest on the mic every week. Yes, every Thursday hear your favorite filmmakers, photographers, actors, models, and more talk about a topic that is near and dear to their hearts that they want you to know about. You'd be surprised at what people are interested in. The Gala show premieres October 26th.
Ah, bitch.
New episodes every Thursday. Available wherever you get.
Haha, bitch. You can't kill me, bitch. Fuck, I hate you. Die, bitch. Thank God.
Roger and I are back, except joined this time by the lovely Gala Avery. Hello, Gala.
Give me that
Hello,
shit,
Quentin.
bitch.
Hi, Dad.
Hey, Gala, how's it going?
Really good. Really great. It's so funny. When I was watching this movie, my dad actually walked by my room, and he's like, "Oh, okay, you're watching the One-Armed Executioner. What do you think?" And I'm like, "This is awesome!" Like,
Which I was like, okay, we're in the right
Where's that pad?
I
Oh, right here.
fucked this one up.
this movie is like.
Can't believe I just took some fall damage from
I've
that.
got a movie since we did the Demonoid episode. Like, this movie's awesome.
Fuck
First
bullshit.
off, it fires on all cylinders. The opening gag with the little person in the
the telephone booth. I can't believe you guys didn't bring that up.
You're right. I forgot about it. Actually, but that worked.
Well, there's so many like good things that happens in the first like 3 minutes or whatever. But that amazing like
And that's the big
incredible actor too.
Yeah,
No,
he's
come here.
He's calling basically because like the deal's gone wrong, and then he gets locked in the.
He's like a snitch.
Yeah, he gets locked in the booth, and he gets thrown in the river or the ocean, and that's the whole catalyst for Ortega to be on the case anyway. And I think it actually sets you on the right tone for the movie.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a little crazy, but really fun.
Well, and also when they bring the phone booth out, when they lift it out of the water, it looks like a coffin.
Yeah.
And it is a coffin, basically.
But not only that, though, that's when
his snitching tool was his coffin.
But also,
yeah,
well said there. But also, that let me know how well this movie was going to be, because that collection of shots when Ortega was at the lake and them taking the phone booth out was just so well done.
Yeah.
There's a storyteller at work here. There's a storyteller who's showing you picture by picture what you need to see.
This isn't a get-it-done kind of movie. No, this guy knows what he's doing. Yeah. There's a nice philosophy to the way the shots are cut together and the camera placements.
And you guys are right. Like, there are a lot of, quote, tropes in this movie, but they're done so well. It's, as you just said, it's not like a get-it-done movie. They're not just, like, going from one thing to the next. Like, okay, we gotta take these off. We gotta have, like, the training sequence. We gotta have his, like, arm get cut off, blah, blah, blah. They're so good every time. Like, I know his arm's gonna get cut off, but the way that his arm gets cut off is so, like, gut-wrenching. Like, it's his own folly, because the book that the crime people are trying to get doesn't even exist. Yeah. It was burned up. He's the one that comes up with the idea, we'll fuck with them.
Yeah, we'll fuck with them.
And that's his problem.
Right.
He messes with them.
That's an important theme.
Yeah, and he messes with them, and they take away what's most important.
No, he's kind of right to feel guilt, all right?
Yeah.
No, I wanted to fuck with him, and I got fucked. That's the worst thing I could possibly do. And paid for it.
Yeah, and, like, I love Jodie Kay as Anne.
Yeah,
I think she's awesome. I actually believe this on-screen romance.
Yeah,
like, when she's depressed and they show that montage video
God damn it!
Like some girl that he's brought through.
Yeah.
Flashback. One of the most convincing actresses, or
admittedly.
See, when I do best is when I just fucking
when he's remembering Jodie, but I didn't mind because on one hand, it's a sweet kind of corny.
Go swimming on Penis Island. Get all the guns I can, and then get a car. And I do all this new strategy shit.
Okay, when he gets his arm chopped off.
Man, I'm a beast with that sniper rifle though.
Of like the magazine and his arm like twitching. That shot is so cool. I love it. Reminded me actually of Demonoid. I don't know. I love these like hand shots where like these arms are moving and stuff. It's so cool looking. And that's why I like those flashbacks. Is because those flashbacks are showing us what he's lost. And what those moments that he's lost, like he could have been right now on the beach with Anne if he just hadn't have wanted to mess with those guys. If it hadn't been his own pride that lost him Anne, he could have been right
you
now.
say?
It's so believable that he's just down in the gutter. And then I love that he goes and gets taken by his mentor in the car, just like drunkenly stumbling around.
Like abducted.
Like abducted.
Like you think
like
maybe it's the bad guys abducting him.
I actually thought it was the bad guys at first abducting him, and no, it's his mentor.
It's like a Mooney being kidnapped and being deprogrammed.
Yeah.
He says my favorite line in the movie: "If you want revenge, you must earn the right to take it."
Yeah, that's what.
And I thought that was like such a powerful line because you know what? He has to pull himself back up. He can't just like get revenge. He has to work hard to right his wrongs and to get the revenge. And I loved it. That spinning machine.
Yeah, the spinning machine. That's what's built a crazy spinning machine. Yeah, the area. With numbers, and you have to shoot the right number at the right time as it spins around you. That spinning machine is so cool. That's when the movie got even better. Where it kicked up to a different gear with that, because those shots were so well done. It was so clever.
It's so dynamic.
And when all of a sudden he's able to pull it off, it's like, oh shit, he's become a bionic gunman.
Yeah, like he's earned the right to go take his revenge.
It is gun fu at that point.
And it's awesome. I think, and I love this genre of gun fu. I wish there was like more movies that were just like the One Armed Executioner because it's so fun.
How in the fuck is there not another Return of the One Armed Executioner?
I mean,
Oh my god, dude, why do people always have to copy where I'm going? Don't even give me a chance to fucking get my shit. Look at this. Stupid motherfuckers. Get out of here, bitch.
But I agree with Roger. I think like the true villain of this movie is the Jason character who has that Joker-like laugh, which is like I feel like he should be playing the Joker right now in this movie.
Edwards, it's just
That's what you fucking get, bitch.
With that
Damn it.
guy, it's he's a sadist.
Yeah.
He wants to hurt people, and like with or without Edwards,
Fucking shotgun landing here.
Did you find the
That was bamboo shit.
Yes, and he's like with his first off his belly.
Oh, yeah.
Or shot at or something. So
Yeah,
like,
slap
he gets
juice.
stabbed. Yeah, he's stabbed.
Probably get rid of that
So
right
then
away.
He's like holding his like bloody.
So at least I got a sniper.
Holding his intestines
while he wanders
while
through
he
the mud.
Oh, what's
walks through the
this?
mud.
Thug style.
And I love
Another sniper? Fuck yeah.
how Edwards, when he finally gets on the boat, which by the way has like that weird swastika on
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But he just has, like,
That's very normal in the East.
he just, like,
What
shows
else
everyone, like,
there
I
we
am a Nazi,
found?
and, like, this is why I'm so evil.
So we know he's the bad guy.
Yeah, so we know he's the bad guy. And then I
Ooh,
love
another
that, like, Edwards, like, when
chesty.
he finally gets the boat up and running after he's, like, told as Jason, like, you're slowing me down, that Jason
What
starts
is
to crawl
it?
the boat and he goes, ha,
Blaster
like, kicks
pistol?
his head into the water.
Do I need a Jawa scatter blaster?
And it's so funny because it's like,
I think I got two of the same ones, yeah.
he just really is a
Pick
dumb
up the
sucker at that
Jawa.
point. And I actually love that we're left with Jason and Ortega because that's the guy that I want to see him get personally. Like, yeah, okay, if someone dies in a big explosion, like, whatever.
Yeah, when it comes to Revenge-O-Matic, it has to be mano a
It's gotta be
mano.
personal.
I'm looking you in the fucking eye as I empty my
And
gun
not,
on you.
and not only
Yeah,
that,
it always
not
has
only
to be that way.
Jason raises his hands to show I'm unarmed, and Ortega gives him a gun.
Yeah.
And he levels the playing field. That's how badass our hero is that he levels the playing field against his, like, arch nemesis villain and still kills him.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't know what else I can say. It's amazing. I loved it. I had so much fun.
Fuck,
That's
somebody
all I
already
want from a
took
movie.
this
I want to
shit.
have fun. I want to be, like, cheering at the end, and I was.
Yeah, and like, you know, and they just, the kind of surprise of it all just made it all the better.
And
Just
even-
made it all the better.
And even furthermore, I think this is a movie I could watch again and again and again and still have fun watching it.
Wait, is that the
I feel
lightsaber
that way
person
about
in
all
there?
those other movies I mentioned that I'm putting
Yeah.
this
Oh,
on the same
no.
list. I've seen, God knows how many times I've seen Coffee. God knows how many times I've seen Navajo Joe. Here's a new one on the list. And now I'm excited to see more
Whoa.
Franco Guerrero movies because
Yeah.
I think he was terrific in it.
I think he was amazing in it. And also just, I love the
Check
music
this
in this
shit out.
movie.
Oh, the music is, we didn't even talk about it. It's got a great blaxploitation
Yeah.
style 70s soundtrack. A fantastic one. Okay, before we move off from this, one of the things that the One Arm Executioner tape had, it had a whole plethora of Paragon trailers on the front that I have to announce. Oh, by the way, the Paragon transfer was fantastic. It looked really, really good.
Really, really beautiful transfer. And
And
the
again-
tape is held up. The box looks a little
I don't know if I
shabby,
would call
but-
it a beautiful transfer, but that would almost be against what it was. All right, it was,
Well,
it was a good, strong transfer.
It's a VHS style transfer.
of a decent grindhouse print.
Yeah, this does not look like a, Criterion Blu-ray. That's not the point.
No, but that would be to wash away the flavor.
Yeah, yeah. Run it through the deflavorizer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you got, you can't clean the hot dog cooker all the time. You got to let some of that junk get on there. That's what makes it a barbecue. Okay, so the trailer is in front. Starts off with the horrible trailer for Boarding House, the only shot on home video slasher film of its day.
Remarkable for that reason, I guess.
Remarkably horrible. All right. The next trailer is for something, a phony title called The Witchy. It actually is Bernard Murray's movie Necromancer with Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin and Michael Hawke.
Fuck's
I've never
sakes.
seen it. I never really have any desire to see it, but it has one line that I've heard, every time I heard this trailer, that's always stayed with me, is somebody talking about witchcraft.
Took my fucking car.
It's the only religion
Witchcraft is the only religion.
now in this life.
I'm promising you some bullshit in the afterlife. It gives you something now. That's true.
And frankly, as weird as the movie, like the line reading is very effective.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, you know the truth when you hear it.
there's the Molly and Lawless John.
That's supposed to be my lightsaber. Everybody's got a pretty wife. Where's my pretty wife?
Yeah, on the one-armed execution.
On the One Arm Executioner tape is the One Arm Executioner trailer, which we fast forward through, but I remembered it before. Then there's the famous Gates of Hell trailer, which is how I even knew Gates of Hell existed, was seeing it on the Paragon home video. And then there's the Hotwire trailer with Strother Martin and George Kennedy. Oh, and also there was Just Before Dawn.
That's right.
The other George Kennedy slasher movie directed by Jeff Luger. He did Squirm. And that is the wonderful trailers that are before the exciting find of One-Armed Executioner on the Paragon Video Productions.
Well, everyone out there in podcast land, you're in luck because this movie is available on streaming. It's even on YouTube for free. And not only that, but there is an entire channel dedicated to Bobby Suarez's work. It's called Bass Films. BASFILMS. I'm really excited because I managed to actually pick this one up on VHS. I picked it up in a lot for $99.99. My lot included Hostages, which I did not have.
The other
find the other Paragon.
You couldn't find it
I
before,
couldn't
right?
find it. I actually found it in a lot with One-Armed Executioner. And the third movie that was in my lot.
Free.
Violent Protection.
Free falling.
Yes, with John Saxon. So I got those 3 tapes for $99.99. So
all three Paragon.
All three Paragon. I actually found the Paragon one. So
You're on your Paragon library.
I never thought I was going to be so excited to go on eBay and find a VHS tape. I actually saw it when I saw Hostages. I was, oh, clicking. I've been looking for that one. So I was.
Millennium Falcon, I think I will. God damn it! Not that same bitch that's always following me.
Marquee. That's a Grindhouse marquee, man.
Are you obsessed with me, bitch? Get out of here.
And welcome back, and welcome to Blood City, our next film. This movie's from 1977, and the
Don't mind if I do.
Lightning Video.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Which was the more exploitation-y subdivision of Vestron, as if Vestron didn't already have exploitation.
Yeah, it still has that Vestron lightning bolt theme going on. The poster for this is great, and I had never seen this film, but now that I know that it is effectively a Westworld, I don't want to say...
It's a ripoff.
It's a ripoff. It's a Westworld ripoff.
Yeah.
Now looking at the poster art on the front, which is Jack Palance, like almost in an identical Yul Brynner pose, even tilted at the same angle.
And then, by the way, both this and One-Armed Executioner were Eddie Branch titles. They were not from the Video Archives collection. One-Armed Executioner would be under the O in the exploitation section.
Not before the A's and the numbers, right?
Yeah. But Welcome to Blood City would definitely be under the W's in horror science fiction.
And that's exactly where it belongs. I'm going to read from the back. Welcome to Blood City, where sudden death is a way of life. Jack Palance, Ripley's Believe It or Not, and Year to Live, 2010, the year we make contact.
Not 2001.
No,
just literally the last title that they did.
2001, that's a million years ago. Let's do something more recent, like 2010. Star in this futuristic action film about a computer that controls the lives and brutal deaths of the people of a small western town. Welcome to Blood City, where newcomers are the town's slaves and the law, Palance, kills at the slightest provocation, where killing is exonerated and rewarded, and the person who scores 20 murders becomes immortal. This is Blood City, the town that is manipulated by a computer controller's sadistic whims. Each citizen is programmed to want, at any cost, to be ordained as the Kill Master. Come visit if you dare. You are welcome to Blood City.
If you've seen the movie, that sounds like a word salad, all right? That includes a few buzzwords that you know from the movie if you've seen it.
Yeah.
But that is completely a word salad, as opposed to a description. The mythology of this movie is what's great about it. Now, my problem with it, as we will go on talk, is it can't deliver a third act that lives up to the first 2 acts.
Or just the setup in general.
Yes. But the setup and the first 2 acts and the mythology involved is fucking sensational.
Yeah.
If they delivered it all the way to the end, this would be a science fiction classic. And I actually think the mythology, not only is it I think it's even more intriguing than the one in Westworld, and it's actually more plausible than the one in Westworld.
For sure.
Okay, go on with your Frank Bruno review.
This Westworld, I gotta do it in the voice.
Yeah. Get your pipe going. Get your pipe going. Hit the pipe.
Alrighty then. I think I'm ready. I'll just adjust my ass a bit. this Westworld ripoff succeeds, while also blazing its own trail across the rocky range of mountains known as science fiction. With Jack Palance, the only actor wild enough to wrestle Yul Brynner to the ground and make him say beg, and the elegant heroine of genre cinema, Samantha Eggar, at her most horny, there's a lot to like about 1977's Welcome to Blood City. But it's the unexpected roughneck performance by the usually flaccid Keir Dullea that surprises above all. Turns out the guy has grit when given the opportunity in a character, and is keen to deliver by bullet or bare knuckles.
That is so drastically my favorite Frank Bruner review. That actually tapped into William Margold.
Yeah, I tried.
That really, really did. Especially
This time I tried.
The horny Samantha Eggar, that's exactly what he would have written. And right on, by the way.
Yeah. All right. And you know, okay, so there are two favorites of ours in this. I mean, two favorites of the show, rather.
Yes, exactly.
Which one would be the great Jack Palance.
Yes.
From our Uli Lamel.
From our very first episode, our maiden voyage, you might say.
And is he eating it up here again?
He's magnificent. He's having such a good time. And one of the things that's also interesting about this, it's interesting is apparently the tape came out after he had won the Oscar for City Slickers.
Oh, yeah. Where he was doing one-handed push-ups on
Right,
stage?
yeah, exactly, yeah. But what's interesting, though, is the movie's a 1977 movie, but almost all the aspects of his character Curly that won him the Oscar for his, slightly spoofing his own persona in City Slickers, this is like the maiden go-around for that performance is in this movie. You know, and it's even played with the same kind of comic twinkle.
Yeah.
In his eye. But, I mean, his dialogue is fantastic. It's... When we watched the movie, we kept every big scene with Jack Palance. We just kept talking out loud about look how fucking great he is in this. He's so charming. He's so enjoyable. He makes the entire concept come alive.
Yeah, he's shown up to do this little programmer, and he's bringing all of Jack Palance to the show, and it's great.
The story basically, forget about where it starts, but the story gets going with Keir Dullea from 2001 in maybe his best performance since 2001, and definitely his most animated performance since his Otto Preminger film Bunny Lake is Missing.
Yeah, completely. He's unlike any other role he's done in this movie. He's tough in this.
Well, yeah, usually when he shows up, he's just this, like you said, he's this flaccid character, whether it's in The Fox or it's in all the weird cheapy science fiction movies he does,
like 2001,
Strange New World or something. Yeah, but it works.
How come I can't get in this?
The thing, but he has a sense of fun and a sense of entertainment and a sense of almost like a genre actor kind of performance that you just never see Keir Dullea do before, and he really kind of pulls it off. But anyway, the idea of the movie is all of a sudden Keir Dullea wakes up in the middle of some prairie, some rocky, westerny kind of prairie, and he's wearing some sort of what looks like a futuristic prison outfit. He wakes up, he has no idea where he is, and then there's about 4 or 5 other people there. Almost all of them famous Canadian actors have been in zillions of Canadian movies.
Yeah.
All right. And so he wakes up, and then he's like, where am I? What's going on? And they're all, well, we don't know our names. We don't know anything. We all just woke up in this Western landscape. The only thing that they have is a card with them, and the card lets them know that they're killers. And so when one person is like, okay, you killed your baby. Somebody else, you killed 3 people in a car crash. You killed 2 people doing this. You killed 5 people doing that.
And other than that, they know nothing about themselves.
But they know nothing about them. The only thing they know is that they're killers.
Well, it's kind of important that Keir Dullea, right at the very beginning, after everybody has sort of come to this acceptance. Well, one thing we know is that we're all murderers, and then he tears up his card.
Yeah, he doesn't read his card.
Yeah.
Well,
and he's tearing it up. He's sort of don't believe everything you read.
Yeah. No, he already makes himself the alpha dog.
Yeah.
Makes himself
and the idea that Keir Dullea is the alpha dog in this situation
suggests bad casting. But it's not bad casting. He rises to the occasion.
It makes me think I wish Keir Dullea had been doing more roles like this.
I actually think it actually looks like Keir Dullea and Jack Palance especially. I think you get the impression that they really responded to this screenplay.
Yeah.
That they were really, really excited by the possibilities of the screenplay. So these characters are walking along, then some varmints, some Western varmints show up, take their boots, and then rape the girl that's with them, Hollis McLaren from Atlantic City, and the movie Outrageous. And then all of a sudden, Jack Palance shows up, who's like the sheriff of the county. Well, I'll take you into Blood City. And while you're with me, ain't no one gonna hurt you while you're in Blood City. And he walks them in, and he realizes that, like, everybody in Blood City, which is this western town, they want to kill him. It's a chaotic, murder is happening everywhere, but they can't kill them because they're under the protection of the law.
Yeah. And you immediately start noticing a few weird design choices, like these cowboys are wearing kind of strange symbols on their...
Yeah, you've got cowboys who are dressed up just like normal shopkeepers and the extras,
the background
of a Western movie. But then you have these other people, and you're assuming that
like an entire class of people.
That they're sort of the contestants or whatever this is going on, where they all wear black cowboy outfits with a target. On their back.
Like a red plus sign.
Yeah, it's like a target on their heart and on their back. And so now, I won't go through all the whys and the wherefores of the rules that the people of Blood City and our lead characters have to play in. However, what you don't know while you're watching the movie, and frankly, I don't care for the conclusion that they come up with, but you don't know exactly what you're watching for like a long, long period of time. Is this some weird prison of the mind? Is this a prison that they're at? Is this a game? Is this actually maybe a game for fun that they're all partaking in? Like it could be a Total Recall.
The movie's really good as long as you're asking that question.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Well, as everybody goes into town, you're either one of the slaves, basically. And so there's like all these rules that right and left if you're one of those people. The trick is to become
Damn it.
Citizens, one of the people who wears black.
Yeah.
One of the black suit people.
Well, if you're one of the black suit people, you can still die. Once you kill 20 people, you become immortal. And now you become immortal, and now you get to be a shopkeeper or something.
Yeah, and now you don't live there in peace, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
As a background character. And so
probably get one more round and let him
a Westworld ripoff.
Call it a stream. Yeah.
Like, there also seems like a little battle royale mixed into there, with Jack Palance literally being the Beat Takashi character, running the whole thing, but also explaining the rules to the contestants as they go on, and they see it. It's funny because it's like, to me, it's like they're either contestants or they're prisoners. Or they're the third thing. Now, it turns out they're the third thing, and that's the least interesting.
Yeah. It was actually
scenario.
And you know how much I love Samantha Eggar now at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she's just the cat's pajamas. I just love her.
Hey, girl.
And, so when she showed up in this movie, I was like, oh, right. And then she has kind of a little bit of a thankless role, and then
I still see your shadows in my room. Alright, now watch me jam, baby. Let me get my Sinatra guitar out.
I feel a little let down in that moment. Having said that, Jack Palance, keeps it going.
I think the movie goes for like about 15 or 20 minutes before it cuts to Samantha Eggar.
Give him the Speedy Gonzalez fingers.
Programmers that are kind of, programming this whole thing. The minute they cut to the computer programmers, the movie's never quite the same again.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Like, oh, that's what this is. Now, I will say, I don't like that they did that. I wish they had told the story without. I think you could easily.
I think I'm going to Penis Island, baby.
I know you can. You can
I'm
definitely
sick of all this shit.
That way. It's kind of a bummer when they do.
Hey,
but I will give them some
what'd they do with Penis Island?
They make that ultimately work.
Where'd Penis Island go?
The two married computer programmers.
Damn it.
That becomes the reason for the movie.
Yeah.
Which is the one that's really better than Westworld in many ways.
Yeah, I don't think they should have gone that way, but for them going their own way, they do make that part eventually work for them to some degree.
So, when I was watching this, almost the moment you popped out and we realized it, I immediately started suspecting this is different than Westworld. This is a virtual reality of some kind. Mostly because I was equipped being a prisoner fan with Living in Harmony, the Western episode that is where they take number 6 and they put him into a Western reality. Harmony, this town that he cannot get out of, no matter how much he tries. It's a parallel for the village itself. And what they're saying is, look, you can take The Prisoner and you can do it in any genre. You can make a
fucking
show
thing
in a Western town, and he would still be this character struggling like that. And they never break the reality until the very end. And actually, when they break the reality at the end of Living in Harmony, it's almost the worst part. Even there, I almost wish that they would have just let it.
Come here, you bastard.
The Western that it was.
Hey.
This weird, obviously not Western.
Those are the things we don't like about the movie. What we like about the movie, aside from the performances, is there's actually a minutia to the way that the Western tropes work in this science fiction world that are really, really clever, that are really, really cool. All the different breakdowns of how Jack Palance explains how this works versus how that works.
And he is just chewing it up as he's doing it. Like, he definitely doesn't make it work.
To me, there's this like pane of glass between me and the Western.
What?
Because I just don't
All you
like
gave me was a
the
Jawa blaster? You
all your gunfights
fucking
gonna happen in robots.
shitbag.
Well, what if you have a gunfight with a real person? Well, yes, your gun doesn't work.
Fuck. God damn it!
Break through
No!
windows and no one sprains a wrist or nobody twists their ankle.
Goddamn anime weavery.
Fight by how you have a barroom brawl with
Alright, last one.
robots and
Fuck, that was gay.
thrown through plate glass
All that
windows
for a
and no one-
Jawa blaster?
Okay, but there's nothing that doesn't really happen in the Welcome to Blood City world that I didn't buy. The stuff that works so good that Roger's watching. I've seen this already. Roger's watching this, and I keep looking at him, and he's like, well, this is a science fiction classic, right? And I go, don't get so caught up. Yes, it is. It could have been. It doesn't last all the way through, but I forgot how it doesn't last all the way through. And it doesn't just self-destruct. Like I said, it just kind of leaks away. But I'm telling you, the stuff that works in the first half really, really works. The ideas in it that work.
Welcome to the party bus.
I think
Wow.
the films that we've done so far, this is the one that's begging an even better remake.
Absolutely. This one could be remade in a hot.
In a hot moment, this could be remade, and all the great things about it could be kept. I would change.
You could do it as a series, even.
It actually would be better as a series. You know,
you could do a Westworld rip-off series.
Yes, you could. Yes, you could. And whoever was going up against HBO would be happy to do it. This is Welcome to Blood City's for stars, all right?
Yeah.
Or Showtime.
Ooh, Vader Samurai.
And we're back. Gala. What do you think of Welcome to Blood City?
So I watched this on April 3rd, and apparently on April 2nd, 2014, I watched Peter Sassie's other film, I Don't Want to Be Born. I barely remember that, but it was kind of weird almost watching that within the day.
How do you like my screen, A-Logger?
What's I Don't Want to Be Born?
Yeah.
Like you did, apparently
Yeah.
randomly watched it, because I barely remember it.
Oh.
Yeah, he's one of the Hammer guys. Yeah, that was one of the TV and he also did a Hammer.
God, you stupid Wookiee. Why won't you die?
Yeah, and bring back Samantha Egger. and
Fuck you,
have
Chewie.
her play,
Shut
guy
your
from
mouth when you're
Space
talking to me.
1999.
Yeah. The Barry Morris.
Yeah, she's
yeah.
there.
Ooh, you gave me a fucking I got the crossbow, baby. Thank you, Chewie. You're not so ugly after all. I take that back. Give me some shield, baby. Yeah. Oh, that was barely any shield. Look at all these chests over here, Chewie.
Serial killer, or if he's killed no people. Like, we don't know.
It's So
A
no, it's
Wookiee bowcaster?
his own supposed past.
Wookiee bowcaster? Alright, I can get one of these.
No, he never read it.
Well, that's
The
even
11
better.
blaster.
That's even
Get
more
outta
of I
here.
am my own man. I mean, there is so much Patrick McGowan.
Fuck,
in
I'm gonna
this.
pick up one of
I
these
think
things.
Keir Dullea even looks a little like Patrick McGowan because Patrick McGowan's
I
whole
like
thing in
that
the
one,
poster
though.
is like I am my own man.
I like that one too.
Not a number.
Oh, I got
For all
two
you
of
fans
them?
out there, I
Fuck.
actually think it's
You're not
Westworld
med kit.
meets Truman Show meets
Alright,
Battle Royale
now,
meets Total Recall.
should I take a
They
shockwave
even at one
grenade?
point reference, we have to bring him out of Recall. That's actually a line that they use.
Well, then somebody read Philip K. Dick.
Wasn't there another
Yeah,
rifle?
sure.
A
So
chest?
it's like
Yeah,
a
there's the other
clarified
chest.
Philip K. Dick and Total
No, it's
Recall.
almost like as if the film critic that comes in
I don't want to pick any of that shit up.
kind of wrote the script.
Another E11
And you
blaster.
have everything. Red skies above Mars.
I don't think I need the grenade, do I?
You will be lying there in a coma. You will be untouchable.
What's more realistic? What's more
Maybe,
realistic? That you're a
maybe.
construction worker or that you're an international spy who's come to Mars to discover what...
And you found your leading lady.
I got two
leading
Wookiee
into
bowcasters. Yeah, give me this.
I urge you to reconsider.
Let's get out of here.
And I love Jack Palance.
Can I use this shit
I
yet?
actually think him being in this elevates the movie to watchable for me. I feel like if anyone else was in that
Oh,
role, I
yeah.
would just kind of like lost interest in the movie because the premise is so good, and then you kind of get like led away. It's kind of a little boring.
Where are you guys?
I do think some of the scenes at the end, which I'm not sure if we're like giving away.
No,
or
we're not giving away.
Are I can't be
Hold
specific
on,
what
Chewie.
they are, but I
Where are
do
they
think there's
shooting
some
us
really good
from?
nuggets of ideas.
Oh, I see him.
I like Samantha Egger. She loves the screen.
When she injects herself into the story as the saloon girl,
Yeah.
that one scene is like the great Samantha Egger scene.
Yeah.
You know?
Did we get him, Chewie?
I
think we got him.
Fantasizing about her.
No, Chewie, back in the air.
The Keir Dullea.
Keir Dullea.
Well, as he's having her sex is.
Yeah,
She's into the sex scene. That
she's into her virtual fantasy sex scene, and her husband walks in and is like, "This is pornographic. You have to stop." And she's like,
And
"Hello."
she's just like sucking on a pencil.
Yeah, like doesn't even hear him.
Where are the people, Chewie?
God, well, how did you watch this?
So I actually watched a VHS rip on YouTube, which, by the way, the credit sequence has this really cool pan of like the titles.
Oh, yeah, well, it was shot obviously in Santa Barbara.
Yeah,
So they was doing
tracking, a little kind of
a digital pan and scan.
a scan track where they...
So they went along the line with the credit.
Yeah, that was actually one of my favorite things about the movie. I love that credit sequence. But I watched it on YouTube, but it's also available for Amazon on Rent and also Tubi. Tubi has it playing right now. And my VHS tape that I got is a pan-Canadian video presentation. So I'm guessing it's a Canadian company. And
The company that made it. It's got a bunch of Canadian actors and some visiting Americans in there. But the director is British, but there's a British component in it, and one of the great British components in it is the score by Roy Budd. It's got a fantastic score. Roy Budd also did the score for one of my favorite British crime movies of the 70s, Sitting Target. And but Roy Budd is terrific, and this score is kicking.
Yeah, this was a great score.
So my VHS cost me $24.99, and shout out to Crazy Mike's Video at 2230 North Reserve Road, Missoula, Montana,
How do I get up there?
59802, which is where my tape originally came from.
That's Crazy Mike, and we've got it all on the speed down here at Crazy Mike's.
Fred Williamson is back, this time in a blind range. Fred Williamson the way you like it, blasting and fighting his way across the screen like you've never seen it before. He's got to get back 15 million of the government's bucks ripped off by 5 of the world's baddest dudes in the most explosive heist of the century.
Oh, he's on my fucking team. What am I doing?
And all 5
How come I got Chewie with me this whole time? This is awesome.
Agent Jesse Crowder, out to foil the perfect
Come on,
heist
Chewie.
in blind rage. Check him out. He is one badass mother.
Blind Rage, the co-hit one-arm executioner, will be playing September 17th and 18th on glorious 35mm film.
Chewie, should we get back in the boat or should we go up? Go up.
71665 Shirley Boulevard, Los Angeles, California.
Oh, you bitch!
The new
Why does it land like this? Damn it.
always on film.
Fucking bullshit.
Okay, we're back for our third and exciting.
Come on, Chewie.
movie.
Get back to our
This was
fucking
treat and a
TIE
half, to
fighter.
say the Rage. It's on the MGM UA home video line. The big
Chewie, you coming?
cool credits.
Is that Chewie behind me?
This is deceptively a Canon film release. A Canon didn't make it.
Yeah, let's go, Chewie. Oh, fuck. Sorry, Chewie.
I'm going to read
How do I get higher in the air?
Blind Rage.
Wait, Chewie, will you get in the car with me?
Kung fu action, and for a devilishly daring plot to steal
Chewie, get in the car.
$1 million.
Oh my god, he got in the car with me. Yeah. Let's go to White Castle, Chewie.
For use by anti-communist nations in Southeast Asia. 5 determined criminals have their eye on the moon, and all of them happen to be blind. Amazing Anderson, a sightless magician. The blind matador is
Chewie, I see the lightsaber. What the fuck? Why are you guys shit the bed right now when I see the lightsaber? Chewie, let's go! Whatever. Fucking lightsaber.
And most of all, blind rage. They just might
Oh, where did it go? Somebody got it?
Filmed on location in Hong Kong, Las Vegas, Tokyo, Manila, Mexico, and Los Angeles. Blind Rage stars Turbo Martin.
Fucking bullshit. I just seen the lightsaber, Chewie.
Leo Fong, Leela Hermosa, and the great Fred Williamson as Jesse Crowder. From the treacherous underworld of the Orient to the climactic rooftop battle in Los Angeles, right by
Chewie, come on.
National House of Pancake sign.
Chewie!
Home is a blistering blast of
You're gonna die.
story. Blind Rage.
Is the train coming? Let's hop on the train, Chewie.
Okay, that's a way to describe blind rage to some degree or another.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of a little highfalutin way.
Chewie, get up here with me.
The real way to describe blind rage is it's the Doberman gang.
Where the fuck is
Instead of
Chewie?
Dobermans, it's blind guys. Yeah. And it follows the entire structure
Shit.
of the Doberman
What the
gang.
fuck is that?
Yeah. They got beat by beat until it gets to the last half hour, or 20 minutes, and then it turns into the killing with blind guys.
Yeah.
Now, that is as great as you ever could have hoped it could be. This movie is such a blast. As much as we love the one-armed executioner, Blind Rage is only
Chewie!
a little tiny bit underneath it. It's not quite as good a movie as the one-armed executioner is.
There's the lightsaber!
It's fun, if not even slightly funner. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah!
Executioner. Blind Rage is just a
Hook me up, bitch!
trash movie. It's
Darth Maul, baby.
Yes. I mean, in the most threadbare way. Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry, Chewie. I'm a Sith now.
all over the world. And,
Let's go.
and rules of attraction, you know.
The European tour.
They show up with a 16mm camera, and then they film you Shinjuku.
Yeah.
Like for a night.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Chewie, come on.
Hong Kong for a day.
Yeah, and then they go shoot the interiors all in the Philippines.
Yeah,
where it's
exactly.
cheap.
And literally, them hiring Fred Williamson is like they already shot an entire Filipino movie, and then they go, look, we need Fred for a weekend. We just need Fred for the weekend, and they come to Los Angeles and shoot that in a weekend or 4 days.
But let's recognize the fact that Los Angeles is so well represented in this movie that it almost becomes a character. You know, it is such a treasure to be able to have this movie.
It's well represented in that way that we've mentioned before.
Chewie, come on.
Where we get to see Los Angeles.
Especially
1976.
It's the grade Z movies. The way they shoot with their big, wide.
They're stealing stuff. They're not.
Yeah, they're stealing
They're not
it.
hiding it underneath a production.
They want to be around big signs. They want to be around big cities, and then you get a sense of the signage of a city. You get a. You know,
We gotta get a car, Chewie.
The street life.
Yeah, in Riverside, or they shoot them in Hollywood. You get a sense of Los Angeles in these movies that you don't get in any other ones. You're able to see a crazy restaurant and read the sign. Read the little slogan. You're able to completely read whatever movies are playing on marquees, you know, on the film. But here's the thing about Blind Rage is it starts off like a silly plot and it's a silly premise, and maybe they'll have fun with it. And that's all I'm expecting it to be. And that's really all it is in the first 25 minutes of the movie. This has that really fun bunch of guys on a mission movie kind of thing.
Gathering up the TV.
Yeah, they come up with the idea for, okay, we're going to do a roster with these blind guys. Well, we have these 5 blind guys in mind. Now we got to talk them into it, but we think they're going to do it.
But seeing how each one of those guys lost their sight is one of the fun parts of it.
No, again, it's a trope, all right?
Yeah.
So it's like, they have a whole list of, here's a photo. There's a photo of D'Urville Martin. And then it's described what he did, how he lost his sight, and then you see it. You see a whole vignette of D'Urville Martin losing his eye. And by the way, knowing the first 3 guys you're going to have to watch, we're going to have to watch them get blind.
Yeah.
Right?
And also,
harrowing.
with fingers in the eye, you're going to, squeal on us, or whatever the hell. Fingers in the eye.
So you see, the photographs of the different guys who are going to be our team, and the little vignettes about, how they all lost their sight. Then they have to go and approach them all, and then they eventually get them. Then they
Billy, what are you doing, bud?
Who happens to teach at a blind school?
Yeah, Layla Hermosa. She's a teacher.
Oh,
for the blind,
somebody
just
down
like
there, Chewy.
The Doberman gang. They hired the girl who knows how to train Dobermans. Yeah. So Charlie Dalbo is the guy who's kind of putting this whole thing together, and he's the one who hires Layla Hermosa.
I have no sniper rifle. This is insane.
If you listen to one of the earlier episodes where we talked about women in cages. Okay, that guy, Charlie Dalbo, is Rudy. He's the bad guy from Women in Cages. So as soon as he showed up, hey, there's Rudy! Right?
Yeah, and I always recognized him because he looked a lot like Dennis Humbert, who was one of the silent owner of Video Archives who used to work at the card clubs.
So it's always great.
So whenever I see Rudy, I'm like, oh my God, it's Dennis.
Well, there's many times that what we watch is overlapping, but it's fun when we don't intend it to overlap, and it overlaps. So that's kind of an overlapping thing.
He's becoming one of the show's...
I see a car, Chewy.
But part of the thing, though, about the guy who teaches the blind guys is it does seem a little bit like he's going to have to talk her into it. He goes, look, I'd like to hire you. I've got a job for you. Well, what am I going to be doing in this job? Well, you're going to be doing just like you're doing here. You're going to be training a bunch of blind guys to rob a bank. She's like, what? Let me just explain it, okay? So he starts explaining it. You're not exactly sure if that explanation
Chewy!
at the moment. It seems to be enough for her. But apparently it seems to be enough for her. Because then almost all the scenes after that scene, after he has to convince her, not only is she convinced, it seems like she's leading the game.
Yeah, you're going to have to do this before the alarm gets tripped, and you're going to have to do this, and you go to the front desk, and be sure to intimidate this one, and be sure to do... She rises to the occasion.
She completely rises to the occasion. She starts training everybody what they need to do. She has absolutely no qualms whatsoever. If she's torn for any way, you don't get it. I mean, one of the things that's interesting is that Charlie Dalbo, part of his thing is to be there all the time, but he never talks. So they don't...
he's the silent...
He's the silent master. He's a silent puppet master, so the blind guys have no clue on him whatsoever. But Layla Hermosa becomes the lead of the movie, seemingly for the first 45 minutes. Now, and there's even an interesting thing about her, as far as the movie is concerned, because the actress who's playing her is actually quite fun. She has a real twinkle in her eye. Yet, she's being dubbed, and I'm pretty sure that it's not her doing the dubbing. Pretty sure it's another actress doing the dubbing. Now, my feeling is this, is the person who's doing the dubbing isn't actually an actress. But that doesn't mean she's bad. She's just not a professional actress. She does an okay job, but she's a little monotone, which Layla Hermosa doesn't seem monotone in her delivery. But as time goes on, the dichotomy of the sparkle in Layla Hermosa's eyes and the not bad monotone vocal delivery ends up working at a certain point. It seems off at first, but when she talks so much, she spends the whole first half of the movie just giving one monologue after another to the guys to teach them what they're doing, and she's on their case.
Yeah.
And these are bad dudes, all right? She said, no, that's not right. You got to do it like this.
What's great is that entire kind of training sequence, which is, you know how the Doberman gang, they create fake banks, and they instead of
balsa wood, a little balsa wood bank, all right?
And I love how this training sequence culminated in that this great, magnificent, long shot that Efren Pignon sets up. This great, wonderful, wide traveling shot showing this wireframe of a bank.
That shot is so good because that shot clues you in that you've been watching this movie a little bit more than you thought you were.
Yeah.
Because now it's kind of exciting. And they actually do a big shot that
an epic move.
An epic move for this cheap movie.
All right, let's go, Chewie.
It shows all the blind guys getting into place in their little practice balsa wood bank. And it kind of just shows it off in this really cool way. And it just also shows that we're kind of keeping up with the movie. We're kind of like following it. And it starts getting exciting. Now, then it comes time to actually do the robbery. And I can honestly say, and I don't think I'm guilty of hyperbole here, look, I love low-grade trashing movies like this. They're a lot of fun, and I don't apologize. I don't apologize for it whatsoever. They either pull them off or they're not, and they can be fun.
Fucking storm's coming too.
Okay.
Damn it.
But when the actual
Why aren't you working, stupid car?
Happening, I was far more connected to what was going on in this movie than I am to most cheap, trashy, little exploitation movies. I totally gave a fuck. I kind of cared about the guys, even though they're not good guys. But I was interested how the robbery was going to work. I mean, I was more than I normally would be to a movie like this. It's actually generally exciting because the whole part of the robbery is they don't want to appear like blind guys. They want to appear as if they're sighted. So no one would think that blind guys were doing this. So their whole thing is to not give away that they're blind.
And because they've been rehearsing on a scale set of the bank, they'll know exactly where, like, the mannequin of the guard would have been on the set will be where the guard is in real life.
And there's also something weird about this movie that's really kind of unique. Is there's so many movies where people play blind and they put on glasses and they do this and they do that. These guys who are playing the blind guys, like, there is no extra sight for them. They seem like realistic blind people doing it. And actually, I think my guess is the magician is actually really blind. That's the one I think is really blind, is the guy playing the magician. It actually is thrilling watching the blind guys during the robbery take their robbery positions. They all got guns, and look, obviously they don't have eyes to keep a lookout on anybody, but they're attuned to sound. So if anybody makes a sound that they're not supposed to make, that motherfucker gets shot dead.
Yeah. Just right away.
And they don't fuck around.
What I love is like the poor.
How do we get up to Darth Vader?
Whatever she is, the
samurai.
Who's just sitting at a desk and she just rotates her chair a little.
Damn it.
Yeah, boom, gets blown away.
Oh well, Chewie, come on.
Don't rotate your chair.
Yeah.
Chewie.
We said don't move. No, we mean it. Don't move.
Oh
the other
shit.
thing is also, is the idea that the guys are fucking badass dudes. I like the fact that, they're blind, and so you also start, like, now you're kind of rooting for them, you know, they make them like these. No, these are bad dudes. These are fucked up killers. The whole thing is a bad dude situation. The plan is mean. These guys are fucking crumbs. They all are coming from a disreputable place. But that makes me love the guys all the way. The fact that they're scoundrels. And I'm going to make a unilateral decision that we don't say anything that happens after the robbery.
Yeah, that sounds
we can mention that Fred Williamson shows up.
Oh, you stupid fuck.
He's kind of a skip tracer. He did 2 movies with that character. One was called No Way Back, and another one
Stole
was
my
called
fucking car. There goes the fucking neighborhood.
Before Midnight Run. But that's
Did he drive into the storm? What a fucking moron.
And so
Oh, second place. Damn it.
They pop him like a high school picture or something, like a picture of Fred Williamson, like in the upper left corner of the poster.
But you get really involved with the gang and them pulling off the road.
That was pretty good.
Fred Williamson looks so good running in this movie.
Yeah,
Tom Cruise is a great runner. Like, you watch that guy.
I think I'm gonna wrap it up though.
But watching Fred Williamson run at the end of this movie was just like great. Like it's like, man, look at him go.
And the other guys along with that bad DeVille Martin.
Yeah.
All right, is also Leo Fong, who wrote the script.
Right.
He wrote he wrote the script. Well. And if you're an LA martial art fan or California martial art fan, Leo Fong starred in a whole series of movies that he produced himself. He wrote the scripts for. Also by this same director, there's Executioner from Death Row. There's the film I saw theatrically, Low Blow, but the really good one, the really, really good one is a movie called Kill Point.
Oh, yeah, Kill Point was good.
That also has Cameron Mitchell and Richard Roundtree. Kill Point's a lot of fun. There's a great trailer for it. Fun. But then there's also Tony Farrar, who's in the movie. He's the guy who ends up ratting them out. He's the guy when the gang tried to stop him, he shoots his way out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Tony Farrar. He's sort of like the James Bond of the Philippines. And then there's Charlie Dabo, who is Rudy. So it's an all-star, grade Z little cast, but they're a lot of fun. And so, Roger, what was your take on all this? I've been doing all the talking.
Well, I think Franklin Browner had some thoughts, but I think he stole the first line from Gala, which is better than the Doberman Gang. Better than the Doberman Gang. However, here, as there, the theme is the same. Crime doesn't pay, nor should it, but it's in the artistry of the heist, the machinations and designs that we may find.
All right, last round, and I'm out of here. Where am I gonna go for the last round?
Whenever I think of any movie, I think of like, okay, if I were gonna make this, what would it be like? And I was thinking, okay, so somebody comes to me and they say, okay, we want to make a movie about a bunch of blind guys robbing a bank. My first question would be like, how? And how are you going to make that interesting? And like, how is that going to be good? The Doberman archetype. Yeah. Or maybe this was their.
Yeah, why not?
No, Doberman get waived.
Yeah, waived for 52 or something, right? Yeah. Around then. However, under that archetype, it's so clear. And it suddenly becomes like really like a kind of Hollywood movie. And
I'm telling you, when it cuts to the bank robbery and the blind guys like actually enter the bank.
Oh damn! Is there already somebody in there?
It's literally like you can't take your eyes off the screen. Yeah, you almost are holding your breath.
But I also like the fact that this movie is like the Doberman Gang. There is no real victory in the end. Crime doesn't pay. It may not pay with like a little joke at the end, but it just doesn't pay. And that's exactly what makes it a Hollywood movie.
And frankly, I kind of wish it did.
But that's what allows you as an audience to have fun with what are effectively criminals.
Gala, what was your take on Blind Rage?
Okay, now we're talking. This movie, I haven't felt that way about this movie since The One-Armed Executioner. Honestly, I love it.
I knew.
Well, good.
I knew right away. I knew right away. This is like Gala's.
No, but also, Roger was really loving the movie when we watched it. He was being a bit demure on the, I'm like sputtering around like a chicken talking about how good it is, and he's just kind of biting his tongue a little bit.
You were doing a fine job representing the movie.
I've been waiting for somebody to chime in about how much fun this is.
I've been chomping at the bit like a Doberman to get in on this conversation because this movie, first off, has one of my favorite lines maybe of any movie ever. It's going down at the International House of Pancakes. The cop.
We played it back a couple of times. It's all going down at the International House of Pancakes.
Which, by the way, they show from like multiple angles and multiple locations throughout the movie.
Yeah.
It was great.
And that brown little coffee pot, always stuck in the middle of the counter.
And again, there's another example of LA being a character.
And a big kung fu fight on the top of the building that has like the IHOP side completely parallel with the horizon.
Yeah, because if you're not in the IHOP or in the parking lot of the IHOP or across the street from the IHOP, you're next door to the IHOP on the roof.
Yeah, in a kung fu fight.
In a kung fu fight.
Look,
and by the way, I was rooting for Charlie Dabo to win that fight against Jesse Crowder, right? Just saying. As much as I like Big Fred.
Look, this movie, it's like the Doberman Gang, but the Doberman Gang does not, in my opinion, hold a candle to this movie. I love this movie. The premise of like,
Blind Rage is really fucking good.
How are they gonna do it? They pull it off. It's awesome. I love the crewing up scene and like the way that they became blind, they all have such.
I only wish that they had shown how the guy who got gored by the bull got blind.
Yeah,
I understand.
They didn't have the money for that.
I understand that was the problem, but I just wish that I could have seen him getting hit in the face by a bull, or something like that. Because like the fact that the two of the guys didn't get little moments.
That was a drag.
Because I loved those as you do.
Yeah, but it was so cool, like seeing how they got blind, how they all had such unique backstories.
The Matador was one of my favorite guys.
Yeah,
the guy
was awesome. And I also, a scene that you guys didn't bring up was the drill torture scene.
Oh my lord!
Where it's like, this guy. Okay, so for the viewers at home,
Damn it! Just sniped him.
In a movie that is bursting to the seams with popping eyeballs. That was the most horrific of
Alright, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end this. I'm gaming long enough. I gotta go do a bunch of shit.
So for you guys that at home, just so you know, there's like a guy laying down and his head is like secured in with what
In a
looks like
vice or something.
Yeah, it's a vice, but it looks like it also could be electrocuting him at some point, maybe in the future. And then all of a sudden there's like this drill, and they're gonna drill on him. It is so just gross. So you guys have like cool
Alright, y'all. Until next time. Glacier. Out. Yeah. Make sure you stay alert. SLED Heads. My debut comic book will be published. It's set to be published. We just gotta get the money together for lettering, logo, and cover art. The blaxploitation, gun fu, supernatural, super Sentai rom-com. All art, 60 pages, completed. Yeah. Stay on the lookout. Indie comic book of the year. From the future of indie comics. No, not you, me. The Most Froze, your host and CEO of Glacier Mountain Comics. Enjoy the rest of what's left of the day, folks. Have a good evening. Have a good supper. Dinner time. Chicken. Wait, that's not it. Winter, chicken dinner. Yeah. Fuck, what up? Oh, shit, I got cardio at 7, too. Alright, guys. Until next time. Yeah. Take it easy. Later, haters.